Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate everyone being here today. A lot of familiar faces here in the room today. So throughout the whole event, we're going to be moving very quickly. We're going to be having 15-minute talks, 5-minute talks, 35-minute discussion panels with 5 to 6 people on them. And there'll be twice as many speakers on stage per day between today and tomorrow as other conferences you go to. So there'll be 75 speakers on stage over 2 days. At our 3-day events, we do 125 speakers on stage. And we do that because a lot of our members are really founders, and a lot of our investors were founders who had an exit or took a company public. And founders, by their nature, are fast-moving and do not want to listen to 45-minute long talks watching macroeconomic graphs from somebody on stage, right? So we want to be the opposite of that. And throughout the event, we're going to be having lots of networking sessions during lunch, during cocktail hours, before we start tomorrow. We hope you can show up between 8:30 and 9 and start networking as well. And many people organize their own dinners and breakfasts. So if you meet some interesting people, feel free to organize and self-organize your own groups of 5 to 10 people, of course, if you'd like. So to start out, my name is Richard C. Wilson. I started this investor club 19 years ago. We've hosted 300 of these events. And there's some stats that I won't bore you by reading off here, but we have 16 million registered members in our different social media networking groups. We run over 300 different networking groups. And the posts within those groups, there's about 30,000 posts a month. They get over 100 million views a month. And a lot of our deal flow and investor connections and data for AI tools comes from the live events, transcripts of 1,500 investors that have spoken on stage, and the social media reach. We've had over $1 billion worth of transactions get done through Family Office Club. It can be anywhere from a billionaire or a publicly traded company. We've closed several dozen deals with such groups. But we also have angel investors and private investors here in the room, family offices, of course, et cetera. So any conference you go to for the rest of your life, doesn't matter what the person says, if they say they're my best friend or they're a sponsor or a partner, et cetera, you should always do your full due diligence, right? Like go do real background checks, go visit their manufacturing plant in person, et cetera. In today's age, it's more important to meet in person like this because today it was easier to fake everything in a data room or a pitch deck than it was the day before. Like 3 years ago, much harder to fake video, to fake XYZ. So just be more careful than ever in terms of due diligence. Some personal stuff. I like traveling, global travel. We did Everest Base Camp for my 41st birthday. It's a picture of my family there in Hawaii. Actually have my daughter Maya with me in the back. You want to raise your hand, Maya? So she's 11 and she's here taking notes. And then our good friend neighbors are here as well. Ryan and Mason live across the street from us there in Hawaii. So appreciate you being here. And I think everybody should know that if you're a member, you can bring a child who's 17 or younger for free to any of our events. And they're going to learn more than they would have learned sitting in any school. If you are an investor, you can bring a kid of any age, and we encourage you to bring your spouse to our events as well. And that way they're included, and they may see things that you don't see when you're looking at an opportunity, a deal, a joint venture. They might see something in someone that's good or bad that you missed. So we encourage people to do that. We like doing adventure trips like across the Grand Canyon, et cetera. So in our club, we host 30 events a year. There's 1,300 investor clubs in the world, and there's only 4 of us that host 30 or more events a year because it takes a lot of travel and orchestration of everything. But our team's pretty dialed in on making these all happen. So these are the cities that we're in 30 times a year to make it convenient. Unless you're like me and you live in Hawaii, it's easy to get probably to one of these 4 cities. So we hope you can come to 5 to 7 events a year out of the 30. And what we're trying to do is build the largest investor club that's not just all digital. You're 16 times more likely to close a deal if you meet somebody in person. And that's a stat from before the age of AI where everything could be faked. It's got to be more than 16 times as likely after AI. One new thing that we've put out is our member portal. So you should have gotten an invite link to this. The invite link is from a software company called Circle, but it's our investor portal for the Family Office Club, our member portal. And it has all these different areas for you to explore. Most important, if you're a member, is the onboarding checklist. Most important for this event, you'll see in the left-hand column of the app, and the mobile app works really well, or on the computer, is you can look at the event agenda, which will display in your home time zone. So just switch your home time zone location if you want to Pacific time to not have it be confusing for today and tomorrow. You can look at sponsors, speakers, a community board. You can form little meetup groups. I think there's a prayer group meeting tomorrow morning. There's like a real estate group that's meeting, et cetera. And you can navigate the portal to navigate a whole bunch of different resources that go super deep. So in our video library alone, there's hundreds of hours of video in there for you to explore. And over the next 10 days, the rest of our videos will get loaded in there. And there'll be well over 2,000 hours worth of videos of decamillionaires giving keynotes, centimillionaires saying how they built their wealth, billionaires talking about their mental models and strategies, discussion panels, et cetera. We also have training programs on due diligence, on influence and persuasion, on how to work with family offices, on how to structure deals. All of that's in the video library. So make sure you check that out when you have time. Also, the bad thing about having over 50 AI tools is it becomes a little bit overwhelming and confusing of like, well, where do I find the tools? Or like, which tools should I use? Or which ones are most popular? Now in the app, you click on the little robot symbol on Artificial Intelligence Hub, and it brings up all of our tools. And in that area, you can click on most popular tools, capital raising tools, due diligence and structuring tools, et cetera, and quickly find the tools you want to find. And all those AI tools work on your mobile app, and you can find it through the Circle app. If you're an investor with us, there are 11 of our AI tools dialed in for you. And you probably just have access to the Investor Hub in the Investor portal within Circle. And then you'll find those 11 investor AI tools there too. So feel free to let our team know if you have any questions. Look for this email if you think you didn't get the notification about getting into Circle. Look for this in your email inbox. It might be in your promotions tab, might be in a newsletter tab or a forum tab if you use Gmail. But look for this and you can download the app right away and use it throughout the day to track the agenda. All right, these are some of our most popular AI tools. So we're not going to spend much time on this today because at the end of today, I'm going to go over a few examples of them, but we don't have time this morning. One tool, though, that's important is this Investor Club Radar tool. This tool, you copy and paste the prompt exactly as it's written, and then just fill in the blanks for yourself, and it will look at the bios and deep research of everyone here in the room and say, these 15 people are probably who you should look out for. And then it will tell you why you should meet and what you have in common. That way, instead of just listening to all the speakers on stage and randomly speaking with people, you could reach out via email and ask if they wanted to connect, and it will already suggest why you probably should connect. So I'd encourage you to use that tool. Should be from your welcome email from this morning. We also have released version 2.0 of our Investor Pipeline AI tool. This works better than the version before that our members used over 750 times, and it is the tool where you can navigate all 22,000 investor profiles we have in our data sets, and it will tell you which 50 are near you or investing in the area that you're focused on if you're here raising capital. So make sure and check this out. If you're a VIP or a verified member, you have access to our Investor Pipeline tool. We're going to hear from Mark Halpern later today. He's the co-founder of Deep Due Diligence Investor Club. If you want to submit your deal, just go to duediligenceclub.com. The 58 members here have put about $10 million of equity checks to work so far into deals. They conduct due diligence as high net worth investor peers. If you want to join this as an investor, it's just a little bit under $1,500 to join and $45 a month. So it's not super expensive. It's just a group of high net worth investors that self-organize around due diligence on deals. And one thing we always stress here in the club is that we want to have a community, not a conference. You know, we used to use Hoova for conference software. We've moved away from that because Hoova is built for a conference, and then the conference ends, and people stop using Hoova. It's like, but our competition and other people that run events, run conferences, we're really running more of a community. So Circle is built more for community. It's more of an ongoing communication platform, and it's going to be more slick and easy for everyone to navigate, I think, that way. But also, it's just part of who we are and what separates us from other investment groups out there. So growing up, these were kind of the values that I was taught to live by. And we always tell people, like, you need to define your own values for your family, because then you can know, like, they call these values the Boy Scout law. Then you can define who's an outlaw and remove them from your business or from your partnerships and just work with people that work within the laws of what your values are. So these are some of the values of our company that have built our business in the family office industry. And, you know, Rockefeller, one of the best quotes I heard from him is, in addition to singular purpose, ground your work in character, responsibility, and service that will build something that lasts. And what I've seen over 19 years doing this is that people that don't do this will eventually get taken down by something they did that was low integrity and that hurts their reputation, or regulators come after them, or just opens them up to lots of lawsuits, et cetera. And so acting with high integrity is like a shield against a lot of things that might unfold if you're not careful. So here's a few tips for maximizing your time with us here today. We talked about the 16X. That's why we're all here in person. We talked about how we try to move very quickly. Hopefully it's like watching F1 instead of watching golf on TV. We have no paid speakers. Like the Navy SEAL comes here today to speak. The $1 billion plus family offices, the single family offices you see on stage, the Centimillionaires, the people doing $1 billion in revenue who come here to speak, 0 of them were paid. We don't fly in Army generals and pay them $50,000. We don't fly in family offices and pay for their plane tickets so they get a free vacation if they'd please speak at our event. The ones who speak here are here to do business, learn, connect with peers, makes it more of a genuine community that way. One thing to remember is that try to add value first to everybody. Like if somebody doesn't know you, they probably don't care about what you're pitching. The context of the pitch and where they met you and whether they trust your expertise and your knowledge matters way more than what's on the piece of paper. The relationship matters way more than the bullet points in your piece of paper. Anyone could print out a one-pager that says you're going to provide someone a 28% IRR or that you're going to do X, Y, Z and give them 3.2X over 7 years, right? It literally means nothing if you don't trust what's on the paper, if you don't trust the person. Almost every investor I know would rather invest with someone who promises much less, but they trust that person much more, right? And so that becomes obvious the more you're in an investor world, but a lot of people new to the community don't really understand that. So figure out all the different ways you can add value to an investor first to start out the relationship in the right way. They've scientifically proven that the relationship matters 2 times as much as the merits of the deal. And everyone sometimes focuses a lot on the merits of the deal, and then they expect us to show it to someone and for them to want to invest. But if you're in the market to invest in any area, maybe you want to invest in a fintech company, and you go to LAX airport to go home tomorrow night, and someone comes up to you when you're trying to order dinner and says, hey, can I tell you about my fintech company? You'll probably say no, that you're trying to order your dinner, right? And it's because there's no context around that. You don't know who they are. You don't want to hear a random pitch, right? You don't want to waste your time. So a lot of what our investor club does is help train founders on how to custom structure investments, how to negotiate with family offices, how to position something in a very concise way, and how to be successful in the family office world. And we really see family offices as just super founders, founders who have learned how to make 7, 8, or 9 figures a year, or when they sold a company, et cetera. So the more class act you are, the better you're probably going to do in this community and just the family office industry in general. Bruce Lee says that calm is a superpower. Some family offices will say no just to see what you do, if you have any tenacity to you, right? Some family offices will want to get to know you for a long time before investing, but they might be worth 40 times a $100,000 check you would get from a small investor who might move quickly, right? So part of the family office space is some patience and getting to know folks. And the other part of it is figuring out like, how do you add value and build real relationships and really get to know people to do bigger business together? If you want to win over an investment from a sovereign wealth fund or an endowment fund or a multifamily office for 30 million or hundreds of millions of dollars, it's not going to happen after 1 or 2 meetings, after just a couple of approaches, right? So the more important the investor, the more typically you have to build a relationship. That's just a fact of nature. So make sure that during the event, you don't spend all your time networking outside. Some people come here and they try to maximize their time. They say, oh, I'm just going to shake everyone's hand and say, are you an investor? Are you an investor? Do you want to look at my deal? And they miss everything that's said on stage. And some investor on stage might have said something that was so well aligned with what they were looking for that they could have been more pinpointed in their approach and then approach someone who's looking for exactly what your mandate is. So make sure you don't miss everything. If you like networking and talking outside, and keep your business partner who's here with you or someone else on your team here in the room so you don't miss everything that goes on stage. That happens quite often. And just remember, in the family office space, sometimes slow is smooth and smooth is fast, meaning like you might not be making all of the quick actions that you might make while raising capital from smaller investors, but it's building a very strong foundation of relationships with people worth tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars. Something that really pays off in the long term. And I think that one more point I want to make is that some of the wealthiest people here in the room might not seem like the wealthiest. They might not brag the most. They might not pull up in a Ferrari. They might not have like a 6-inch Rolex on their wrist, right? Some people are like very quiet and humble about it, and they have hundreds of employees. The last thing they need is more attention and more people like coming after them and asking for this, that, and the other thing. So it's not always the case, but sometimes there's an inverse relationship to how wealthy someone acts like they are and how wealthy they actually are. And someone might sit next to you and say, oh yeah, I run a couple car washes, but maybe they have like 140 car washes, right? And so maybe they just sold their package of 30 of them to a bank or something. So I would just watch for that, because sometimes you might write somebody off as, oh, they must be like a capital raiser, et cetera, because they might be dressed a bit more casual, but maybe they don't need to dress up to impress anyone, right? They left their orange tie at home and decided to be casual, right? So that happens. So these are the membership options. If you're new to our community, charter membership includes our core 40 AI tools. The VIP gets you our data investor tools, like Investor Pipeline 2.0 that I showed earlier, and that's a year-long membership. And then Verified Member is our newest one, but it's been really popular. We do a background check on you, and you get a blue check mark on your name badge. You also get about $15,000 worth of stage and exhibit table exposure, all for $10,000, and we help you do your 1-minute pitch video. We tried to make that irresistible, because long-term we want almost all of our sponsors and speakers on stage to be background checked. So it's very, very unlikely that they aren't who they say they are, right? Always still do your own background checks. Doesn't mean blue check mark means you invest with people right away. It just means that we have done a basic level job of vetting and verifying that they most likely are who they say they are. So those are the 3 levels of membership. And you can talk to anyone on our team if you have questions about that or want to upgrade to Verified, then just let them know. And then we make sure your one-liner is dialed in before we do your 1-minute pitch video, of course. So throughout the whole event, if you have any questions, you can message our team members through the Circle app. You can go to the registration desk and talk to Jennifer or anyone on our team, and we have multiple team members here in the room, et cetera. So feel free to come up to us if you have questions, concerns, anything that we should be fixing or doing better for all of you. We appreciate you being here today and throughout the whole event. It's best if in the Circle app you reach out with very specific suggestions and requests versus like a template message that you send to like lots of people. It's just not going to be like super effective. And we'll end up with some investors just not really, reacting well to that probably. So I would reach out to people with what we suggested here, adding value first and being very concise and specific. So today we have a lot of exciting speakers on stage. And one thing that we've changed is a lot of our talks are 5-minute deal flow talks. And then we have fireside chats where I'm interviewing typically people who are doing tens of millions of dollars a year in revenue in their businesses or are large investors. And then you'll see discussion panels. Those are really the 3 formats you'll see throughout the day. And it's pretty quick moving, like I said, so I hope you'll enjoy everything along the way.